Buff Daddy Nerf, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Hey guys, Buff Daddy here, doing our range test so far for the 2017 Nerf lineup. We have lots of things here in the bag. We have 2 Nemesis blasters. We a bunch of other things sitting out because they're too big for the bag. We have the Dreadshot and the Raptorstrike. We have a field at the local park. We have it measured off at least for 100 feet. If it gets anywhere beyond that, then, well, I mean, what can you really do? It's probably something you should buy. Let's be honest here. Okay, so first off, the thing that we don't have the ammo for, because I overlooked that little bit, the Dreadshot. I know I have another. There it is. I only have 2 of the arrows that come with it, but a couple shots should give us more than enough idea of how far we can use this. So there's the first one loaded, and we'll do a couple level shots first and a couple angled shots and see the difference. Also, it would help if I so, we have our first 2 shots, which I didn't expect to really go that far firing flat. It is a rather large projectile, so landing about 35 feet. However, if we fire this at an angle, we'll see if we get anywhere close to the advertised ranges on the box. I should note that in the comments, not in the comments, in the description, I'm going to go ahead and list some links to other reviews if you want to learn more about the chronograph readings in feet per second. I know for the Nemesis, my friend over at Naptown Nerf did a few croning shots with it, with the Nemesis. Okay, firing at an angle. And at least bounce sideways, so and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We had 1 shot at 70 feet, 1 shot at 80 feet. So I imagine 81 feet. So with perfect conditions, I could definitely see that reaching ranges of 85 feet. So we'll judge that as being accurate on the box. Next up, after a quick loading montage, we will start testing some of the clip-based blasters. Okay, now that we've done some loading, let's take our Raptorstrike. If I can grab the bolt that goes with it, because you know, basic operation, it's kind of important. There you are. Now, let's go ahead and test it with the darts that came with it, the AccuStrike darts. I think I only grabbed 16 of them. So, I guess we'll do 8 and 8 in terms of shooting. Okay. And at an angle. apparently that's it. So, Raptorstrike. 1, 2, 3. We have our first grouping of darts ranging from 34 feet to 40 feet. Our second group of darts ranging from 63 feet up to 70 feet. Now let's try the same thing again, but using regular Endstrike elite darts. It should be known that the groupings were relatively consistent. Angle. That last one went quite a ways. Okay. So, using our standard elites, we have a lot more variation in where the darts went, firing down the row, but starting at about 37 feet. Let's see. Going up to about 60 feet is the first grouping, and the second grouping is all over the place. From 72 feet all the way up to past 100 feet. Of course, you're probably not hitting anyone back this far, but you can do it. Okay, we will clean up real quick and then start doing things with the regulator. Next in line, we have the regulator. I went ahead and loaded 3 drums because there are 3 operating modes. Since I'm expecting this to be the shortest, let's start with the full auto first. You can really see at 15 shots there it was starting to get bogged down. So, 1, 2, 3. Between 30 and 40 feet we have our first grouping. 50. 55 up to 80 we have our second grouping, but doing full auto, after so many shots, that group is more likely to reflect what you're gonna get. Because, let's face it, you heard it, the full auto bogs down after so many darts. Kind of like the Hyper Fighter did. You can fix that with modding, but of course, that's not this video. So, let's go again, doing 3-round burst. And step to the side a little bit just to see a little bit of a difference in grouping. As you can see, if the drum doesn't feed, it will think it's empty. At an angle. And we are empty. So, firing in bursts, we actually ended up having better ranges, around 44 or so for the main first group on average. If we go out here, we see things all over the place actually. Of course, out here we're getting more towards wide open areas, so there's more wind, but even then you can tell that it's a grouping that goes farther, but you're not going to have them all in the same place. Your first shots are going to end up over here. That's actually 100 feet. That is surprising, actually. But compared to this group, so anywhere from 70 to 100 feet at an angle and 3-round burst, with the first dart naturally going farthest. And at the risk of mixing up darts, let's just go ahead and get single fire out of the way. I guess we'll scoot off the other direction. And here you can hear the wind picking up. Let's try waiting a few seconds, let the breeze get past. That's not actually a wind. That's me running so freaking fast. And there's my lights going off. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our grouping for single shots is relatively the same distance as it is for triple. Here's our main grouping for full auto. And you can see with the wind how many darts went off to the side, but even assuming that they went perfectly straight instead of curving to the side, you can easily see how they can get up to 100 feet of distance from the point of firing. They're obviously nowhere near where I was firing, but you get the distance. Okay, we'll take a quick pause and then fire up the next blaster. Next we have the Judge, which I'm sure you've all seen Welcome S7's video. So here's my testing with it. And yes, it really is big. I've left the rear covers off the turret for now. Firing 5 shots level. Decent grouping. All going roughly the same distance. As you can see, closer to 30 than 40 feet. At an angle. Where they go all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have one dart down here around 56 feet, but most of the darts are landing in the 60 to 65 foot range with decent spread, about per shot, maybe 5 or 6 feet between individual darts. And since we're using a different set of darts this time, we can proceed without cleaning up. Let's start with the Twinshock. You guys have already seen me do a video of this down at the last Cincinnati Indoor War, and I posted a review on Blaster Hub. Now let's do actual shots with it. Wind's picking up again, but Megas being notorious for flying wherever the heck they want to go. Even those last two shots being at the bottom of the AR system were making 70 feet. So the ranges on the box I can definitely imagine as being possible. Let's load it up with some Buzzbee brand Mega Darts for comparison. Shooting a lot straighter compared to their counterparts. That last one kind of fell out. And now, since we still have a couple more darts, let's fire these at an angle and do it from the first set of barrels. That's pretty close to 80 feet. And these, well, these are kind of squished. Well, even without fresh darts. As you can tell, I have accidentally disabled the thing preventing it repriming. Oh yeah, that one's definitely 85 feet. So, aside from that fluke there, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So roughly 30 to 50 feet firing flat with mega darts. Firing farther, getting anywhere from 50 to 85 with the ones we have shown. The Buzzbees naturally actually followed their path of aiming a lot farther. So conceivably, yes, this can get the 85-foot ranges on the box. I believe it's 85. So now that leaves us with one thing left, and that is the Nemesis. As I mentioned before, Naptown Nerf has already done a review of this, as have many other people. He specifically, I know, used a chronograph because I watched the whole video. So, in this case, I'm just gonna fire at an angle, which you can only fire a few balls at because of the conveyor belt. So obviously that's not recommended. But in terms of actually making distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have our first grouping here at 40. 50. Here we have about 60 feet is where a bunch of them started dropping after the initial flight. And then we have the rest of them, which are actually kind of all over the place, up through roughly 90 feet. Because let's face it, firing balls, they only have so much distance to go before, aerodynamically speaking, they just fall out of the sky. Now, we have the really fun part. We will grab my second Nemesis. Completely rewired. I kept the stock switches and used those to trigger separate MOSFETs for both the flywheels and the conveyor and cage assembly. I have two 42 amp continuous LiPos sitting in the back here, running in parallel with each other, all nice and balanced and everything. So we have nothing to worry about in terms of power. One other thing, since I ruined the tab on the pusher motor by accident, I actually have I'm trying to remember what the MTB 3S180 is called, because I'm drawing a blank. Hellcat, that's what it is. I have a Hellcat in place of the original motor, so if we end up seeing a difference in rate of fire, be it positive or negative, from other blasters that have been upgraded, that will probably be the reason why. Have almost all 100 balls in there. Okay, now the fun part. As we've already determined, firing at an angle isn't a good thing for something that relies on a hopper to feed into it. So we'll just fire straight and see what happens. 100 balls coming up. Wow. Wow. Just wow. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You can see a giant range where all these balls landed at, including up to 100 feet, if I didn't accidentally count those from the first firing. But yeah, that was an insane number of balls in a relatively short period of time. I love it! I love it so much! Give me more balls! So yes, that will conclude today's range test for the brand new 2017 Nerf blasters. This sure isn't all of them. There are other brands to consider, like Buzzbee and Primetime Toys, but we will get to those whenever we get the blasters. So, for now, Buff Daddy out. Have a good one.